likes you doesn't always rush to express it directly. She first observes whether her feelings are safe with you. Women are intuitive and protective of their emotions. They don't just give their hearts easily. They test emotional safety before revealing their depth. That's why she might start with small hints, a question about your day, a message out of nowhere, a look that lingers longer than usual. To a man who is emotionally aware, these are signs louder than any "I like you." But a man who only looks for direct expressions often misses these moments completely. When a woman is interested, her eyes soften when she sees you, her tone unconsciously becomes more nurturing, and her presence starts to feel different, warmer, calmer, inviting. These are not rehearsed signals. They are instinctive reactions her emotions create before her mind can control them. Every woman has her unique way of showing that she cares. Some do it through nurturing. They'll cook something you love, check up on you when you're tired, or worry about whether you've eaten. Others express it through encouragement. They'll motivate you, believe in your goals, and push you toward your potential because your success becomes something they emotionally invest in. Then there are women who express love through emotional availability. They will simply be there quietly when the world turns its back on you. They won't need to say, "I love you," because their consistency says it every single time. These forms of expression are so natural, so integrated into who they are, that most men don't even recognize them as signs of affection. They confuse them with friendliness or politeness, unaware that behind each act is a deep emotional current. The biggest mistake a man can make is to assume that just because a woman isn't expressive in the same way he expects, she isn't feeling anything. Women often speak in the language of emotion, intuition, and energy, languages that require presence and sensitivity to understand. If you listen closely, you'll realize she communicates constantly, even in silence. The way she listens to you without interrupting, how she remembers details you forgot you ever shared, or how she mirrors your mood when you're low, all these are emotional reflections of her attachment. When she's in love, her body language changes unconsciously. She leans in closer, her eyes search for yours in a crowd, she mirrors your movements without realizing it. These are not coincidences, they are emotional signatures, small pieces of evidence that she feels something strong, but chooses to express it through connection, not confession. Understanding a woman's way of expressing affection requires more than logic. It requires empathy. You must observe without judgment, listen without the need to respond, and feel without rushing to label it. Women open up when they feel emotionally seen, not when they're pressured to reveal. Every woman has her comfort zone, and the moment she begins to step out of it for you, that's her expression. When she lets you see her unfiltered emotions, her fears, or her vulnerability, it means she has chosen to trust you. And that trust is one of the purest expressions of love. People often look for verbal confirmation, for clear statements that spell out someone's feelings, but true emotion rarely works that way. Energy doesn't lie. Words can be practiced, controlled, or even manipulated, but energy cannot be faked for long. When a woman feels something genuine for you, you will sense it without her having to say a single word. Her presence feels different. It carries a softness, a certain warmth that your soul can recognize even before your mind can process it. The way she looks at you, how her energy shifts when you enter the room, how her mood subtly mirrors yours, these are all signs that exist beyond speech. Human connections are energetic before they are verbal. The emotional chemistry between two people is built on vibration, not conversation. That's why sometimes, even in silence, you feel an undeniable pull towards someone because energy communicates what words cannot. When a woman likes you, her energy around you transforms. She may become more open, more radiant, more emotionally in tune. You'll notice she lights up in your presence, that her laughter becomes effortless, that her body language unconsciously leans toward you. It's not something she plans or forces. It's an instinctive reaction of her emotions translating into energy. And sometimes that same energy shows up in the opposite form, nervousness, shyness, or hesitation. Because when feelings are strong, energy doesn't always flow smoothly. It trembles, it hides, it flickers between wanting to be seen and wanting to stay protected. You might notice her playing with her hair, her voice softening slightly, or her glances becoming frequent but brief. These little moments may seem ordinary, but they carry an entire world of emotion underneath. Energy also reveals itself in attention. A woman who is emotionally connected to you will tune into you. She will pick up on the smallest changes in your tone, your behavior, or your mood, often before you even acknowledge them yourself. This is not mind reading. It's emotional intuition. When her energy aligns with yours, she becomes sensitive to your emotional state. That's why she might ask if you're okay, even when you've said nothing. She might notice when you're distant or tense, even if you try to hide it. That sensitivity is a reflection of where her focus is, because energy always follows attention. The more emotionally invested she is, the more her energy orbits around you without her even realizing it. You can also feel the difference in how she treats you compared to others. Her tone becomes warmer, her patience stretches longer, and her presence feels calmer. You feel safe around her energy because it carries authenticity. There's no pressure in it, no pretense, just an effortless flow that makes you feel understood. That's what real feminine energy feels like when it's interested. It doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't chase, it connects. And it's through that connection that her feelings become visible, not through grand declarations. When someone's energy aligns with you, even their silence speaks. You might not have long conversations, but the pauses feel comfortable, not awkward. You might not exchange constant messages, but the moments you share feel deeply charged with meaning. It's the way she looks at you when she thinks you're not paying attention, the way she unconsciously moves closer, or how she mirrors your tone and rhythm. That's her energy reaching out to you, forming a silent bond that words could never describe. Energy is the purest form of communication because it bypasses logic. You cannot argue with how someone's energy makes you feel. A woman may tell you she's fine, but her energy will reveal exhaustion or affection, tension or tenderness. The truth is always in what you feel, not what you hear. When you learn to read energy instead of words, you begin to understand love on a deeper level. One that doesn't rely on explanations, but on connection. Because at the end of the day, emotions are energy in motion. And if you're truly attentive, you'll see that every smile, every glance, every silence carries a vibration trying to tell you what her heart is too shy to say out loud. When a woman is genuinely interested in you, she doesn't just give you her hours. She gives you her heart, her mental space, her energy, her emotional bandwidth. Time can be given to anyone, even out of politeness or obligation, but emotional investment is different. It's personal, intentional, and deeply meaningful. You'll notice that she begins to care about things that matter to you, not because she has to, but because your happiness starts to influence hers. She listens when you talk about your dreams, remembers the little details, and becomes emotionally involved in your journey. It's not about constant communication or dramatic gestures. It's about how she starts to feel with you and for you. Her mood shifts when you're upset. She celebrates your small wins as if they were her own. That's not casual interest. That's emotional participation. When a woman invests emotionally, her presence changes. She becomes more thoughtful, more attentive, and you'll feel her effort in subtle but consistent ways. She will check on you, not because she's trying to impress you, but because she genuinely cares. She'll sense when you're off, even when you try to hide it behind a smile. Her care is intuitive. It's an instinct that emerges once her emotions begin to anchor in you. You might notice that she starts including you in her daily thoughts. She shares songs, quotes, or moments that remind her of you. It's her way of connecting even when you're not around. Emotional investment always shows in attention. She pays attention to your moods, your patterns, and your silence. It's not about control or curiosity. It's about emotional alignment. She wants to understand you because she has begun to value you on a level that goes beyond surface attraction. This investment often shows up in her patience and emotional availability. When she's attached, she tries to understand rather than react. She gives you space when you need it, but stays emotionally accessible when you reach out. Her concern is no longer shallow. It's rooted in care. You'll see her trying to make things easier for you, comforting you in quiet ways, or simply being there when things are difficult. That's how women express love, not through promises, but through presence. When a woman invests emotions, she invests stability. She doesn't just want to be with you, she wants to grow with you. Her energy becomes protective, nurturing, and deeply committed without her even realizing it. Emotional investment also means vulnerability. It's when she begins to open up about her fears, her past, her insecurities, not to gain sympathy, but to let you in. She's letting you see the sides of her that not everyone gets to see. That level of openness is one of the clearest signs that she feels safe and emotionally connected. She trusts you with her truths, and that's something priceless. You become part of her emotional world, the space where her guard drops, where she doesn't have to pretend, where she feels seen. A woman doesn't give that space easily. It's earned slowly through consistency, emotional safety, and genuine connection. And as her emotions deepen, her perspective shifts from me to us. She starts thinking in terms of togetherness, not necessarily in big declarations, but in small adjustments. She aligns her schedule to match yours, remembers your preferences, supports your ambitions, and considers your feelings before decisions. That's emotional investment. It's choosing to include you in her thought process, in her inner world. She starts to feel your absence when you're not around, and that feeling isn't just attachment. It's the emotional imprint you've left within her. She invests her empathy, her care, her belief in you. And when a woman reaches that point, she is not merely spending time. She's building emotional roots that silently say, "You matter here." That's one of the clearest, most powerful signs that a woman's feelings for you are real. Because by nature, women value emotional safety. They don't step outside their comfort zones easily. They do it only when something or someone feels worth it. When a woman begins to like you, she starts taking small emotional risks that might seem insignificant at first glance, but they carry deep meaning. She might start opening up about personal things she rarely shares, express her thoughts more freely, or allow herself to be seen in moments of vulnerability. That's her way of saying, without words, "I trust you." It means she's lowering her guard, letting you closer to the parts of her that she usually keeps protected. For most women, emotional exposure is not a casual act. It's an act of courage. And when she chooses to be emotionally transparent with you, it's because she feels safe enough to do so. Stepping out of her comfort zone also means she begins to adjust in ways that align with your world. Maybe she's an introvert who suddenly agrees to join you for social gatherings because she knows it matters to you. Maybe she's never been expressive over text, but she starts initiating conversations because she doesn't want you to feel distant. Or perhaps she's used to keeping her emotions private, but she begins to communicate her feelings openly to avoid misunderstandings. These may seem like small gestures, but they reflect a deeper transformation, a woman willingly bending her boundaries, not because she's being forced to, but because she wants to grow with you. A woman who doesn't care won't change anything for you, but a woman who's emotionally invested will go beyond what's comfortable because your presence feels worth the effort. You'll also see her pushing through her fears for you. Maybe she's scared of rejection, yet she still tries to show affection. Maybe she's been hurt before, but she decides to trust you anyway. Breaking her comfort zone doesn't always mean doing something dramatic. It often means confronting her emotional history. If she's opening up despite having been disappointed before, that's a huge emotional leap. She's choosing to believe that this time it's different. And that belief is an act of vulnerability that deserves recognition. When she lets you see her insecurities or her softer side, it's not weakness. It's her way of saying, I want to be real with you. She's allowing you to witness her unfiltered emotions, the parts of her that others rarely get to see. Even in her daily habits, her comfort zone begins to shift. She might start adapting to your lifestyle, exploring your interests, or making an effort to understand your passions. Maybe she's never been into deep conversations, but with you, she finds herself talking about life, purpose, and emotions. She begins to stretch her limits emotionally, intellectually, and sometimes even physically, trying new things, visiting places she's never been, or saying yes to experiences that once made her hesitant. Each of these acts is a quiet symbol of her growing trust and attachment. She's not doing it to impress you. She's doing it because she feels inspired by you, drawn to your energy, and connected to your presence in a way that motivates her to expand. For a woman, breaking her comfort zone is a profound expression of love and faith. It's her way of meeting you halfway, of saying, I want to understand your world and let you into mine. You'll sense it in how she makes herself emotionally available, even when it feels risky. You'll notice her effort to be patient when she'd normally withdraw. You'll feel it in her willingness to discuss difficult topics rather than avoiding them. Every time she chooses openness over silence, courage over fear, or connection over pride, she's stepping outside the walls she once built to protect herself. Those are the moments that reveal her feelings more than any words ever could. Because for a woman, breaking her comfort zone isn't just about trying new things. It's about trusting someone enough to let them in where it truly matters. This is a truth that many people, especially men, refuse to accept because it challenges the romantic illusion of pursuit. But genuine connection doesn't require endless chasing. It requires mutual effort. When someone is truly interested, you don't have to keep convincing them of your worth. The energy flows both ways. You don't have to beg for attention, overanalyze every message, or keep proving yourself to hold their interest. If a woman is truly into you, you'll feel it in her presence. She'll respond, she'll reciprocate, she'll meet you halfway. But when you're constantly the one initiating, explaining, and holding the connection together, you're not building a relationship. You're building a fantasy around someone who isn't emotionally invested. Chasing constantly is like running after a mirage. No matter how fast you move, the image keeps shifting and you're left exhausted, trying to grab something that was never really there. It's important to understand that interest is never one-sided. When a woman likes you, her actions naturally create space for you in her life. She won't always be the one to initiate, but she will participate. She'll reply with energy, engage with curiosity, and make an effort to keep the connection alive. But when you're the only one trying, when every text, every plan, every attempt at closeness comes from you, it's not a sign of persistence, it's a sign of imbalance. You may mistake her occasional attention for interest, but those small crumbs of response are often just politeness or emotional confusion, not affection. A woman who wants you will not make you feel like you're fighting for a place in her life. A woman who's not sure will give you just enough to keep you hopeful, but never enough to make you feel secure. That's not love. That's inconsistency wrapped in illusion. The act of chasing constantly often comes from a place of emotional need, a desire to be chosen, validated, or wanted. But love that is real doesn't need to be forced. You don't need to run after someone who genuinely values you because they won't let you run alone. They'll meet you, they'll match your energy, and they'll show through their actions that they're equally invested. A woman who truly likes you doesn't make you question her interest every day. You won't have to decode her silences or rationalize her distance. Her consistency will give you peace, not confusion. But if you're always anxious, always wondering where you stand, always waiting for her to finally reciprocate, you're not in love. You're trapped in emotional pursuit, and pursuit without reciprocation only leads to exhaustion. Sometimes men romanticize the chase because it feels exciting. The unpredictability, the waiting, the thrill of finally getting a response. It creates an illusion of depth. But love isn't supposed to be uncertain all the time. Real emotional connection feels steady, not suspenseful. When a woman is emotionally invested, you don't have to keep reminding her that you exist. She naturally includes you in her space. She asks questions, makes time, and shows care through her consistency. But if you're always chasing, if she keeps pulling away every time you move closer, it means she's not ready or not interested, and no amount of effort will change that. Chasing shadows only drains your energy and blinds you to the people who might genuinely care for you. A woman who wants you won't let you feel like an outsider in her world. She won't give you mixed signals, won't disappear after moments of affection, and won't make you question whether you're asking for too much by simply wanting attention. When love is mutual, it's not a chase, it's a rhythm. You give, she gives. You show up, she shows up. But when it's only you doing the running, all you're holding on to is the idea of her, not the reality of her. And that difference can quietly break your spirit while convincing you that you're still in love. Emotional maturity in relationships is not about playing guessing games. It's about recognizing patterns. A man who has self-awareness and emotional discipline doesn't waste time trying to interpret every small change in someone's behavior, every delayed reply, or every hot and cold reaction. He understands that genuine interest doesn't come with confusion. When a woman truly cares, her energy is consistent, not necessarily in how much she speaks, but in how she shows up. You feel it in her presence, her tone, and her emotional rhythm. Consistent energy gives peace. Mixed signals create anxiety. Real men learn to value peace more than temporary excitement. They stop chasing people who keep them uncertain and start respecting the ones whose energy remains stable, grounded, and clear. That's what emotional intelligence looks like. Not reacting to every signal, but observing the emotional frequency behind it. A woman's energy speaks louder than her words ever could. You can tell the difference between someone who is genuinely invested and someone who is temporarily entertained. When a woman's feelings are real, her energy around you doesn't fluctuate based on convenience. She doesn't suddenly become distant for no reason, disappear after moments of connection, or make you question your place in her life every week. Her communication may not always be perfect, but her effort will be consistent. She'll respond with attention, with curiosity, with care. And even when she's busy, her energy won't vanish. She'll still make you feel seen. Real men learn to notice that. They don't cling to the highs and lows of emotional inconsistency. They pay attention to the steady rhythm of someone's energy and effort. Mixed signals often come from emotional immaturity, confusion, or a lack of interest. A woman who doesn't know what she wants will act like she does for a moment, then withdraw as soon as things get real. She might say one thing and do another, express warmth one day and indifference the next. But a man who values himself doesn't fall for this emotional unpredictability. He doesn't interpret inconsistency as mystery. He recognizes it as instability. He knows that love shouldn't feel like a puzzle. Real interest doesn't make you overthink. It brings clarity. So instead of decoding every mixed message, he steps back and observes not the words, not the promises, but the patterns, because patterns reveal truth. A person who truly values you will always find a way to show it. And if her actions and energy keep contradicting her words, it's not your job to make sense of it. It's your cue to let go. Consistent energy is what creates emotional safety, and every man who understands emotional dynamics knows that safety is more valuable than attraction. Anyone can make you feel excited for a moment, but consistency is what makes you feel at peace. When a woman's energy aligns with her words, when her effort matches her emotions, you don't have to question her intentions. You can sense her presence even in silence, her care even in distance. That's the kind of energy real men seek. Not perfection, but alignment. They don't get addicted to emotional roller coasters because they've learned that love shouldn't feel like chaos. They don't chase validation from someone who confuses them. They observe who makes them feel calm without explanation. Because calm energy doesn't need decoding. It's understood naturally. Real men don't try to fix mixed signals. They simply walk toward consistency, knowing that peace is the truest sign of genuine connection.